in a situation where they're invited, not forced to, but invited to listen and to actually respect the parole, the voice of the children.
Yeah, that's a good question about the process.
Can you speak a little bit louder?
Let me ask a question about the process. I'm just curious, what would you, is there anything you would suggest to make the process maybe more meaningful or more engaging for you? Are there things that would have, made it more enjoyable, or do you have suggestions about the process itself?
I understand that we don't have too much time, but I feel like more time to talk to the readers and discuss the topic would be a lot better.
I felt the same on our side. Did anyone else feel that? It felt a little rushed for us too, and we wanted to hear more from you. Have time to discuss.
So the question and answer discussion. There's a little bit more to allow it to be. Because we had 20 minutes, right?
For each book.
For the process, when you first got the idea, how did you have a canvas on how you were going to be leading, organizing, or was it just, okay, you have a project here, put it down in paper, how did you, like, what was the basis?
Well, I sent to Timothy a template, which is actually what was on this table here, which just says, who is the book, what is the subject, can we categorize them, that's all that I was.
This is what we had.
Just that.
This
So
is
is
what, Elizabeth, if you can let it go
course.
towards everyone to see it.
I guess I've not heard anything about Korczak. Oh, Timothy did give you a little bit of information about Korczak.
A little bit.
But not really.
No.
So that's really cool for us because all of your topics really align very clearly with this work. So, okay.
Eva, you were not in the same school, so did you work on your own?
My dad is sometimes
Yeah.
the principal of Yuko, so that's how I got involved. He was like enthusiastic about me doing it, and I'm glad I did. But yeah, that's how I got involved. And yeah, I guess I know we used to talk about it a lot, so I know about.
But he asked me whether it's okay if you are involved. I said, sure.
Yeah, so he's talked a lot about like just the whole process and about
Korczak.
He told me the whole story about him and about like the summer institute and what they're doing.
So more of the work that we've been doing, it has been around social emotional learning and mental well-being. But if you don't have rights and freedoms, you can't have those things. So it does dovetail like this.
But it can take on different forms with different types of public and different types of sizes of groups. I've done this with a group of 300 people, and we've had maybe 15 books, and people moving around, and of course they're much bigger groups, so you don't have 3 people Sunday, you might have 10 or 12, so it's a different kind of way of doing it. But it also went out on a slightly longer period of doing it. But we've done it with also, because in the forum that I run, we have very little children as well, so we have, maybe 6-year-olds that want to present a book. But they tend to do a visual book, like a drawing, and explain it. And so it's a very different thing from teenagers presenting books. And we also allow sometimes adults to read books as well. So you can use the thing in a different way. I've also done it in Paris in a very old 19th century library. itself. So, which actually creates a very different atmosphere, where you've got people dotted around all over the library as being books, surrounded by books.
There's a theater company in Vancouver that does it in the Vancouver Public Library.
I can't hear you.
There's a theater company in Vancouver, started out doing it with the Push Festival, and they do it now at the Vancouver Public Library once a year. And you can go and sit in different corners of the library and take out a human book. It's great.
So it's just really an illustration, it's just one form, but please don't get locked into, the human library as being all and end all. It's just one form amongst many methodology to use to help empower and to get a certain level of comfortability to allow young people or children to express themselves. But it was originally designed not to anything to do, I adapted it to child rights, but it was originally designed to work more on the issue of multiculturalism. So it was to do with people of different ethnicity talking in books, but it's an interesting methodology.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, right there,
If you could, wave a magic wand, this was wonderful. I'm wondering what you would want us out in the world to do in order to empower not just you, but other young people in the field that we occasionally talk with adults and neighbors. What changes would you see after?
Yes,
Maybe some more representation. Like, for example, I guess, educational system. If there was more, like what they're doing when they get together, have a kids and talk to the parents and the teachers. Maybe like a group of kids that talk to the actual school board about how they feel and go forward and adapt to the educational system and change it and let it grow. That's just an example. I feel like just more before anything like concrete changes, there's gonna be like a more like a lot more just like listening and equality that's servicing between adults and children.
I'm thinking there can be more ways to raise awareness for this. Like,
Can you speak a little bit louder? I can't hear you, sorry.
there can be more ways to raise awareness about this, like this whole summer institute that you're having here. It's a great way to raise awareness about child advocacy and stuff like that. And it's also the way some places, like some education systems, the way they teach children does not promote this kind of behavior, and it's like children are in the bottom and their opinions shall not be heard. This type of education causes a chain reaction that just repeats itself. And if we want children to be able to speak for themselves, then this type of education has to change. And children should be taught that it is okay to say their own opinions and stuff like that.
I just thought something. I think it'd be really interesting if, while like studying to become a teacher, or just to go into any educational field for children, I think it'd be interesting to have like things like this part of the teacher's education. I feel like it would impact their studies a lot, and then how they act when they actually become teachers. I feel like that would be cool, just more like actual kids. So it's not just like a bunch of classrooms and classrooms are just owls and all of a sudden you're thrown into like a sea of children. It's like maybe throughout the whole process of becoming a teacher, studying more.
I think that's I'd like to ask you, what was your experience? What did you learn, and what things came about in this process from your own experience of this short human life?
It just became more curious.
It became more serious.
No, curious.
Oh, curious. Sorry.
About, just asking more questions about, how do you come to those topics? What is it that you think we need to do to improve? What is it that should be scrapped? Boy, I just have more questions.
No, I was just going to say just how passionate they were about the issues that they chose to speak about, and that they really thought about them from all these different angles, sort of to see there wasn't really one, I guess it was kind of a balanced perspective on the issue, and then also being able to look forward to say, like, how could we address it in a way that's tangible. So I really appreciated that aspect of it.
You know, I think we owe them the introduction, because our introduction to you guys, because we know who you are, you don't know who we are,
Yes, that's
other than names, right? And it probably is interesting for you who we are as professionals. Would you mind just say in a couple of sentences, please, who you are? Yeah, let's start with Claire. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Clea. I'm a family nurse practitioner for the Richer Initiative Social Pediatrics Program. So I work for Children's Hospital, but we do outreach in the downtown east side in schools, daycares, community centers, and we have a primary care clinic and a social housing complex. So embedded in the community in order to create access to health care for disadvantaged children and their families.
I'm Thaisa. I work in Vancouver East Side. I very much kind of float around through different community centers as my hub. I coordinate a program called RISE, which is Responsible Indigenous Strategies for Empowerment. And we have Indigenous youth and young adults placed in different community centers to not only learn the skills to be a part of the mainstream system, but to also look at how they can decrease barriers and increase inclusion in the neighborhoods.
Guys, take your chairs, come closer. The sound key is not really.
Actually, we don't really need to separate ourselves. We can be part of the same community.
The wheels, so you can literally move around and feel. Yeah, exactly.
They promise not to bite.
This room's terrible for dialogue.
Yeah. Perfect. Is that better? Because I know the sound over there is just, it goes away.
Those things.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, I cannot stop that. I need it, I'm afraid. Okay. So, Alice, I guess. No, Bronwyn. You are the next, yeah.
Hi, I'm Bronwyn, and I'm the representative for children and youth. So we provide advocacy to young people who are trying to access or using MCAD or Ministry of Children and Family Development Services. Or provincial, so we go right now.
Hi, I'm Jenny. I'm not outlier in which I direct plays, and I used to teach Atkins to Banera College, and I've worked in theater for youth for a number of years.
And you have another aspect, Jane, which is very
Yeah, you
interesting.
should tell them, Jane, yeah.
I'm here because my grandparents were friends with Dr. Korczak, and my grandfather, in fact, was the president of the board of directors of the orphanage, and was one of the people who gave my grandmother persuaded Dr. Korczak to become the executive director there. And my mother and her sisters grew up going to the orphanage and celebrating Jewish holidays for the children. So I grew up with the books being read to me, and then very late in life, I discovered that I don't know how much of the story, but his
Do you know the
sister was
story of
Pani-
Korczak?
Was Pani
Yeah,
Stefa,
you do.
was Pani Stefa, who was the older sister of my uncle, who died before the Second World War.
Can you
So I never
imagine
knew
this?
him, but he was my Aunt Irene's, she was my Aunt Irene's sister. So I've grown up with his stories because I've been
So if you shake Jane's hand, you're one shake away from fortune. Yeah, well, two guns.
Can I just say, because I don't know if we'll have time, but you asked what I got out of this. And it's not the first time, but oh my heavens. Our society wastes the resource that youth has. I was so blown away by your ideas, by your clarity of thought. I wasn't surprised by it at all, but I just again thought we do something terrible in our society by waiting until children grow up to really participate, because you are ready to participate, and you've probably been ready to participate since you were like 8 and 9. And we adults waste, and it breaks my heart, but I'm excited about whatever it is you're going to do next.
But don't wait. You were talking about the Swedish girl who is 16 and who is an incredible champion for climate issues. You can become champions. You didn't hear that, Elizabeth. No. You can become champions for school reform, for changers in education. Because clearly, all the classes you're going through and studying, not everything are needed or necessarily what you would love to have. And there are things which can be changed. And I don't think it's because the Minister of Education is nasty or against the children. There are always perceptions of the adults which come first, most, and only. And if finally the agency of you as students at the high school level are heard, then changers might come. It's not because they are against you, it's because your perceptions are never asked for and never heard. So you could become champions for changers, not being in opposition, but clearly expressing your opinions. And I'm from the United States, so I'm okay to tell you to go against the Canadian system. No, I don't do that. I'm kidding, of course.
I just wanted to jump on your train, Tatiana, because there's this beautiful opportunity of curriculum change right now.
Exactly.
example,
In Canada, yeah, in BC.
People in your school, and Tim, and you guys who are already, like I met some of you, working together with UBC, and say, look, we need to get some focus groups with teams as this curriculum is being implemented and see if it's working for us, and if it's not, we need to help direct it right now. This is the time to do it. It just, you've got to be a little bit squeaky wheel to say, don't do this without us, because I'm not sure how much consultation is taking place with actual students.
Probably never and not, yeah?
I don't know. Do you guys know? Is there?
Well, there is any of you on the forum? Any of you on the forum? Okay, so there is in Vancouver an effort throughout the school district. They brought youth together from every school to a centralized forum where they were talking about the issues they were seeing. We were strongly encouraged to make sure to send kids of various ages, races, success levels academically. We were to give the broad spectrum. And then they've come back to the schools and are trying to effect a change.
I just wonder, Sean, you were there, right? So, did you feel comfortable to stand up and talk? How many kids were in the audience? Thousands? Hundreds?
Not thousands,
No?
but
Each, I think, the group of, I guess, 5.
Oh,
each
five.
school, no, yes, but a group of 5 from each school, 18 high schools.
Oh, okay, so 9 together,
Well,
yeah?
it's
So did you feel comfortable to stand up and say something, or you didn't?
It didn't really go as like, well, it wasn't very hard. It was, I guess you can say it's comfortable just because everyone else is students and they're all on the same boat. So it wasn't very hard.
Were they talking to the Ministry of Education, not to the...
No, so that's different. So we did have 4 students who presented to the Minister of Education and to over 500 delegates in February. That was part of the brain study initiative, because our mandate has been mental health. We have a school that's full of anxiety, it's got higher than the national averages, so our whole thing has been to try and take that down and then to figure out what works and then share that out. The forum was a little bit different because what it was is they were trying to bring youth in from all the different schools, and they brought 1 or 2 staff members from each school as well. I'm not one of the staff members. To talk about what are the values, what are the things that need to change, what is working, what is not working, right? And then they've come back and now are trying to take some action in our school. So it's not so much approaching the decision makers, but trying grassroots change. Because there's been no consultation. The government, so yes, we do have I believe, a very strong education minister now, but there was never any consultation with any of the stakeholders when they put out the new curriculum, and very little support put in place.
That's what
So
I'm
teachers
saying.
are trying to figure it out.
That's the opportunity for you.
Yeah.
So there was one thing that I'd like to say at this point about this conversation is that we can see that adults have a very key role to create support and create the platform. They can't do it on their own. They need a platform to enable them to give this through. And part of building that platform is building a situation where they do feel confident, where they do feel good and so on. But some of the issues, it's very interesting that the Committee on the Rights of the United Nations Committee on the Rights of the Child, for the 30th anniversary this year, with Child Rights Connect, which is the largest umbrella or worldwide organisation for all the child rights organisations, together they chose a theme to highlight that 30th anniversary. And that theme was children as defenders of human rights. Children as defenders of human rights. Now, why children as defenders of human rights and not defenders of child rights? Because proof is today, children are not just interested in children's issues. They're interested in children's issues, and they have a child perspective or a youth perspective on those issues. But they also have much wider issues that they're dealing with. They are passionate about climate change. They're passionate about the girl child. They're passionate about women's rights. They're passionate about poverty. They're passionate about all the different issues which are not just about children. It would be like saying that in terms of women's rights, women are only interested in what goes on with women. It's not true, ladies. You know, there's a much wider agenda. So children
That goes
are...
without saying.
Sorry?
That goes without saying.
That goes without saying, but we assume, the assumption we mustn't fall into is that children are only interested in what concerns children. They're interested in the big picture. So children as defenders of human rights is important. So although the issues that goes on in their schools, in their social settings are important, they also need a bigger platform where they can stand up to societal issues that they're passionate about, and they have their vision that they need to share, which doesn't exclude adult vision, but we need to have a platform for them. So what goes on about the issues of curriculum and things like that are really important, and their participation, because it has an impact on their direct lives, but also they need other kinds of platforms which can allow them to talk about societal issues in general.
And you can become pioneers of a big youth movement. And there's one more thing which, looking at you, I could tell right away. Almost all of you experienced another system of education. You can either criticize, but you still see some things in the Chinese system, for example, which were good, right? So if you bring it to the attention of policymakers, Because comparative education, I can tell you as a person who has been in it, is not really on the agenda of national ministries of education. Because each system has its positivity, and there are issues and features which can be taken from the Chinese system, for example, and implemented here. I'm not saying bringing everything, I'm saying some things which you, as people who experience that and here, can tell right away, as people who actually did it in both countries, right? And again, that would be first-hand experience, and that's coming from people who are interested in getting knowledge, in getting skills, and being champions in your field, which you would choose, right? So I think this is the voice which cannot be shut down. You need to start talking out loud as the young force. And the future is with you. So it's in your hands.
So I think we stopped at Jane.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Jane. Yeah.
No, I'm done. I
You're
did
done.
all the process.
Who's next?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I'm Jack, you will know me. Like I said, I met some of you. I work with Dr. Fernandez and Regal. I'm one of the PhD students, so I'm also interested in social emotional learning and the brain, and particularly positive mental health in schools. So how can we do it in a way that's not stigmatizing, accessible, and we can promote mental health across the population. Found your presentations very, very insightful. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Yasek. I'm a secondary school teacher. I teach socials and math, and I'm also a medical student where we just found out on Tuesday that we had the same supervisor. So, yeah.
How was your experience?
Oh, it was pretty, since I work in high school, it doesn't surprise me. The awareness that you guys, and just the passion that you have for the topics that you've chosen. It doesn't surprise me at all. I'm glad that it's present, and you have, what I'm actually kind of more happy about is that your school actually provides these opportunities for you to do this, because it takes a lot of time and resources for a school to do that, and for them to say, no, this is one of our priorities, I think is amazing and great. And so it's kind of seeing you here kind of shows that there are some structural changes that are happening within schools led by amazing teachers and administrators who really just want to see children at the forefront. Richmond Christians.
Hello everybody, thank you for coming today. My name is Alice. I'm a daycare teacher. I teach children aged 3 to 5. And I'm also a master's student in UBC. And today I really, really appreciate one speech. And I feel that it must take a lot of courage for it to come to present to all of us. I think that's really, really great. And you guys make me have more faith in our activities. And then thank you, Jonathan, for doing this library thing, because it's actually my first time to experience human library, and I would like to bring this back to my own school. I can present this to children, I can present this to my family.
Do it. We've done you.
Yeah. Judith. Yeah, we're introducing ourselves.
Instructed. My background is from computer science and manufacturing and engineering, consulting with this company. My interest is in the Holocaust and children in the Holocaust. As for my experience, I was stunned. It was very, very enlightening because I don't really have a chance to talk. I have a 4-year-old granddaughter, and I have no chance to talk to children your age or people your age, and it was really informative, and I learned a lot of things.
Hi, I'm Alyssa.
You got to read one book, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I'm sorry I was late. I am a child and youth advocate at the Society for Children and Youth of BC here in Vancouver, but we're a provincial organization as well. And we promote public awareness campaigns around children's rights and advancing those rights.
So that's the person.
And we also launched a child and youth legal center where we directly represent children in matters of family law and child protection and human rights. And
So how
this-
was your book?
It was amazing. Yeah, like this whole experience was so cool. I wish that I could have read all of them. I'm so sorry, but I'm already brainstorming about all the ways I can take the feedback and your opinions and consultations and how like my role in my office, our organization can move forward with projects and create that
What do
platform.
you think, Alyssa, what we're talking about them becoming champions for changes in education?
Yeah, there's so much opportunity for it. I'm just trying to figure out how it'll work, and it'll take me a little bit longer than just this past 10 minutes. But yeah, I think that there definitely is, and I would love to help assist in that opportunity. So
Don't let her go before she gives you phone numbers, email address.
I have my business cards on me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my name is Anita Matrice. I work as a teacher and guidance counselor. I've been in the system for a long time actually. I started at Kitsilano High School. And I had the chance and privilege of teaching Eva's older sister at Vivan. And she was an amazing girl.
You still in for me?
Oh, yeah, well, I haven't seen her for a long time, but yeah, she was amazing. I teach in French, and we are provincial school board. And actually, your presentation today actually is giving me some wings to get back in September and for the students, help students to do some reforms in my school system because there are lots of policies that need to be repaired and it's really like it's inspiration that I feel stronger. Gave me my vitamins.
That's wonderful. I think a great idea.
I think it is too. And I think what we talked about yesterday, what I was talking about and Tatiana suggested was maybe we could bring Child Rights in Action here and give a platform where we bring a much bigger group, maybe 200, 250 adults and children. And the idea is that maybe some of you young people might want to help to co-design that event. So this is like a residential event where we all stay together in a place, somewhere in the countryside somewhere, and we'll design activities together and you bring in the issues you want to deal with, and we will invite decision makers to come and participate and listen and work with you to try and impact and
But
create
it
change.
is your platform.
Yeah. So some of the issues you're talking about today would be good to bring into that platform so that you've got a real voice in that situation. The other thing I wanted to say was that the problem with children's participation is that there are children and youth that are ready. These are more than ready. We know that. They're
No, children are definitely ready.
But there are children that are not ready yet. So what we have to be careful with is not to exclude or only to work with young people that are ready. So how can we help young people that are not in that situation, that don't have that confidence, that have maybe some great social difficulties or disabilities which are hindering them to express and to participate. So there are stages, and we mustn't forget to go, to forget the steps that are needed to help people that are not ready to fully participate. And some of those steps is to maybe to create learning situations where children and young people can learn to participate, where they learn that their voice has a resonance and it is effective and has impact. And in order to do that, it's not just talking about children's rights, but actually taking the issues that are to do with their everyday life, which could be to do with violence, which could be to do with girl-boy relationships, which could be to do with the problems of exclusion and diversity. You could take whatever theme and build a participative learning workshop for them. So they're learning not centered on themselves, they're learning about an issue which they're going through, and they learn how to participate before being invited to a platform. Because the problem is you can actually do damage by inviting young people to a platform where they don't feel comfortable to participate. Do you follow what I mean? So we have to respect that there are different levels of possibility, and particularly in inner city schools or inner city areas where youth are faced with so many problems that they're not freed up, if you like, to express. Their heads are full of their own problems, so we have to deal with those problems, and they become urgent. And then when they can see that their voice becomes something powerful and understandable, then they can start to be more ready for that and get to this level where these young people can integrate. And it's very, very interesting. What we do in Child Rights in Action, which used to be called CATS, was the mix of privileged and underprivileged children coming together and working together. Is a very important thing. Let's not forget that Korczak's first two books that he wrote, the first one was Street Children, and the second one was Children of the Drawing Room. And it's very interesting that he looked at both ends. And Children of the Drawing Room was a lot to do with his own very privileged middle-class background, which he started off from, but he got the message across to all children in a very global way, which led on to his universal vision of children's rights, that all children can suffer and can be in difficulty. And of course there are urgent things in poverty, but there are also children that are extremely unhappy, extremely lonely in very privileged areas as well. So the sharing of that situation, no one's got the monopoly on difficulties, if you like, and it's that sharing that's important.
There's one more thing which I wanted to share. There were summer camps, Korczakian summer camps. They started in Poland, then in Russia, now in the Netherlands as well. And what they do there, they unite children in a multi-age version, like there are very young, then teens and older teens. And the leaders of the team are called mother and father, so they're usually young teachers-to-be or young teachers, a man and a woman. And they 10, 12 people together. And they bring also children with disabilities, children with physical issues, not very healthy and healthy together. So I want to give you one example which I heard from the person we will be talking about her next week. So she's been the founder of these camps in Russia. They are 27 years already. So they brought once into a group of 100 kids, they brought 10 blind children, absolutely blind. And they brought them to the Black Sea. And the blind kids, first time ever, were swimming in the sea by themselves. Of course, I mean, they were guards, but they were allowed to go out into the sea. And then they went to the mountains as blind kids with other kids. And they were climbing mountains, which they never ever did before, because who would allow a blind person go into the mountains and get into a risky situation? As a result, 3 weeks camp, they came back home, and what others noticed, what happened, they started holding their heads up. Have you ever noticed that blind people usually look down? They started holding their heads up. Can you imagine what kind of transformation happened inside? That in 3 weeks, they managed to start looking up. We cannot bring vision back to them, but we can allow this self-esteem. What Jonathan was talking about, children who are afraid to speak up, who have lots to share but cannot, are not willing or, don't know how, or feel like it won't be understood. So with these actions like this, we can help them look up, speak up. That's one of the consequences and results of this kind of arenas and actions. So think of that.
Yeah, we had, in CAP, we had children with great learning difficulties. We had children that were from Eastern Europe that were in these awful...
Careful, I'm also.
I know. But they created in some Eastern European countries these awful so-called orphanages, like in Romania, in Bulgaria. These terrible institutions where children were abused. And Lumos is an NGO that we've been working with, which was created by J.K. Rowling. Everybody know who that is? Yeah, Harry Potter. And she created this NGO, which is all about shutting down these institutions and bringing these kids back to their family. And they even have an economic solution where they explain that it's even cheaper for the state to keep them in the family and have support, medical support, whatever support they need within the family rather than institutionalization. And Lumos brought some groups of these children from Romania, from Serbia, from Bulgaria, and they were amazing. There was one girl that I remember called Mikiela from Bulgaria, who when she arrived, she was really, really shy. She had a great deal of speech difficulties, and she came back the next year and she blew the roof off. She just took the microphone in front of 350 people, and now she's employed by Lumos as being an advocate for the dignity of children with mental disabilities. So she learned in that situation because she was encouraged and accepted in that environment by all different kinds of children, including privileged children, including children from Africa, and they all accepted her and as normal. And she said to me, this is the first time I've been looked upon and dealt with as a normal person. So that is a very important thing. And I would just say that Mikiela was arguing that how much adults don't trust children with mental difficulties. So for example, just having money, just having pocket money. There was this thing that, if you give that child some pocket money, they don't know what they're doing with money. They'll throw it away or whatever. This mistrust of children with disabilities. So that's what she's fighting for. And she came to this advocacy position because she was supported by other children. So that's it. Anyway, we're talking too much. The idea was this would be a debriefing.
Yeah, do you have any questions to us, or do you want to say something?
Yeah.
Just, I think on behalf of all of us, thank you for listening. And, it felt very, like we were respected. I just want to say on behalf of all of us, thank you for listening so well. And
you. It was definitely a pleasure.
I was wondering if something like this would happen like again. I was wondering what like if or when something like this would happen again, because like someone said like if it got more curious, and I would also like to hear like maybe people would kind of like reverse the situation, and if more people from our school who will be involved next year would be interested in this being like a human memory, because there are a lot of like grade 9s who are interested in our brain study, and I think that would be really
Well, I can confess that this is the first ever Summer Institute on Torture, which is happening in both Americas, South or North. This is the first ever, okay? So you're part of something really new. And we started talking about this Summer Institute 3 years ago. So it took 3 years to happen. But now, when each of the participants can become a proponent, an advocate of this, maybe we will have another Summer Institute or a course or something like that. Then we will definitely invite you and would love to have it. But what I hear you mean is to have something in your school, to have something bigger than just one event, right? Then you can start doing it in your school as a human rights library or something else, and do it on a regular basis. And I live in Seattle, for example. For Jonathan, it's a little longer, but
Come up to Paris.
I would love to assist and collaborate in the future in further experiences like this, definitely.
Yeah, and I will come from Seattle, it's no problem.
A suggestion, during a prodi for teachers, you could be attending a prodi and have all the others around being readers.
Because we have presented at a CPTV before, and I think that it would make more solutions to be like more interactive, but like the time is also like pretty short.
Well, and one of the challenges, we had other students who were really interested in attending. They're in summer school today, or they're already away on holidays. So, so that does make it difficult, right? Yeah, so and I'm the pro teacher at our school. So Prodi is our short term for professional development. CBT is something we do in Vancouver where the days started or ended early. And so the brain study kids have talked to the staff, but that's been more presentation based.
But you can do it like
but
this.
we could, and we can take that forward with into the brain study, because we're going to have the brain study group next year, but there's also this leadership group that's operating over the summer, plus there'll be the grade 11, 12 leadership group. So there is probably about 75 kids. We only have 700, only have 800 kids in our building who are interested in various types of leadership and kind of well-being of any kind. So it is something we can kind of flesh out. We do have a kind of slightly small building, and we're way up here, and lots of people don't like to come out to us because we're way up here. But, oh, I know. I know.
Just had a question about like advocacy rights and curriculum in terms of schools, because I know of a couple organizations that teach like public speaking, how to do your own social justice campaign, those kinds of things. My organization also does like advocacy workshops for young people, but I think we're always looking for young people who have a passion to co-facilitate rather than have it be adult to young person, but young person partnering with adult to co-facilitate these learnings, these opportunities for that generational dialogue as well as that social justice with effective tips for how to do
Right.
those kind of things.
One of the things we would really like to see, and that's one of the beauties of having, so Ava's over at Van Tech, and our current vice principal is going to be your vice principal very soon. We're very sad, you're very lucky. And so starting to spread things out so that it's not all just happening in New Hill. And that really is our next step, to try and get things at least out into the Vancouver schools and then expand further. So trying to link those things up. Yeah, we can try and do something centralized on a Pro Day and in the new year, because the October ones are already set.